Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Jana Bala Girivara Dhari Jana Bala Girivara Dhari Gopi Jana Bala Girivara Dhari Jasodanandana Brajajanuranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanuranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivara Dhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivara Dhari Jasodanandana Brajajanuranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanuranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Madhava Kunjabi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Madhava Kunjabi Adi Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Harivajagacharya Astatarasatasi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Gaur Premanandi Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. In our evening class, we're going to be discussing some key verses from the Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 7, starting with text 4. These are essence verses of the Bhagavatam. So I thought it'd be nice to read the verses preceding, and then those very essential verses. So, Canto 1, Chapter 7, texts 1 through 3. 1, 7, 1 through 3. And The speaker of text 1 is Shonaka. Shonaka Rishi is asking questions of Sutta. So Shonaka Rishi asks, "O Sutta, the great and transcendently powerful Vyasadeva heard everything from Sri Narada Muni. So, after Narada's departure, what did Vyasa do?" Purport. In this chapter, the clue for describing Srimad Bhagavatam is picked up by as Maharaj Parikshit is miraculously saved in the womb of his mother. This was caused by Droni, Ashvatthama, Acharya Drona's son, who killed the 5 sons of Draupadi while they were asleep, for which he was punished by Arjuna. Before commencing the great epic Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Vyasadeva realized the whole truth by trance and devotion. So, backing up a little bit, the end of the previous chapter, entitled Conversation Between Narada and Vyasadeva. In chapter 6, Vyasadeva compiled all the Vedas and divided them into 4 and wrote the corollary literatures, or the smritis that complement the shrutis, and he then compiled the summary of all of that in Brahma Sutra, and felt dissatisfied. Narada came, explained to him why he was dissatisfied, then gave him an instruction what to do. So now he's going to do. And the question is, after Narada left, what did Vyasadeva do? And in the purport, short purport, Srila Prabhupada is reminding us of, the little bit broader context. The little bit broader context is the son of Dronacharya, namely Ashvatthama, has done some diabolical things. The sleeping sons of the Pandavas he killed, and he made an attempt to kill the remaining descendant in the Pandava dynasty, namely the child in the womb of Draupadi, Uttara, and he, Krishna, saved him. So he's reminding us of that. And now the next is Vyasadeva did what Narada recommended. So it's a little bit of review in this purport. Text 2. Sri Sutta said, on the western bank of the river Saraswati, which is intimately related with the Vedas, there is a cottage for meditation at Shamya Prasa, which enlivens the transcendental activities of the sages. Purport. For spiritual advancement of knowledge, a suitable place and atmosphere are definitely required. What to do about that? Make your place suitable place. That's what you do. The place on the western bank of the Saraswati is especially suitable for this purpose, and there is an ashram of Vyasadeva at Shamya Prasa. Srila Vyasadeva was a householder, yet his residential place is called an ashram. An ashram is a place where spiritual culture is always foremost. So that's what you do. It does not matter whether the place belongs to a householder or a mendicant. The whole varnashrama system is so designed that each and every status of life is called an ashrama. This means that Spiritual culture is the common factor for all. The brahmacharis, grihastas, vanaprasthas, and sannyasis all belong to the same mission of life, namely realization of the Supreme. Therefore, none of them are less important as far as spiritual culture is concerned. The difference is a matter of formality on the strength of renunciation. The sannyasis are held in high estimation on the strength of practical renunciation. Text 3, short verse purport. In that place, Srila Vyasadeva, in his own ashrama, which was surrounded by berry trees, sat down to meditate after touching water for purification. Purport. Under instructions of his spiritual master, Srila Narada Muni, Vyasadeva concentrated his mind in that transcendental place of meditation. Now, the timing is the juncture between the previous age and this present age, because from the time of Krishna's departure, there's a short juncture or sandhi. And during this sandhi, juncture of time, this is when Vyasadeva was contemplating what to do about the oncoming Kali Yuga. And symptoms were already starting to show, just like when it's dawn or sunset. There's symptoms. The sun is coming, the sun is setting. So he saw the symptoms, plus he is a sage and he knows past, present, and future perfectly well. But externally symptoms, scripture confirmation. And so he wanted to do something. Quite natural when somebody sees pervasive distress, wanting to do something. And so on his initiative, based upon his understanding and realization as an avatar, he did what he is to do. He compiled the Vedas, etc., and felt dissatisfied, etc. Narada came, why am I dissatisfied? You didn't sufficiently glorify the personality of God. So the instruction, as we all know, sit in a trance of meditation. So now he's preparing himself for the first half. And then the second half is what comes after the first half. And that is what you realize in this trance of meditation, which we're going to discuss in an evening class, starting with text 4. That should be the composition that will satisfy you, because that composition will be the mature realization of your experience during this samadhi. So being competent, Vyasadeva entered samadhi, but some preliminaries, he has an instruction to do so. And he purifies himself in various ways, as mentioned. And now he's ready to sit in trance of meditation. Now, what about us? Trance of meditation. And he sipped water for purification. There are procedures that are helpful for us to prepare ourselves to be more concentrated when we're hearing or chanting or praying or any of the 9 processes of bhakti. All those activities help in purification, and therefore for us, nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. We nityam, regularly, literally nityam means always, but Prabhupada is very generously translated as regularly. So we regularly engage in each of these activities, specifically hearing and chanting and remembering. hearing and chanting and remembering. And remembering is the fruit of hearing and chanting. And remembering, we're going to remember something. So if the subject matter of our hearing and chanting is the purifying and elevating subject matter, then the mind goes to those things. Remembrance goes to those things. Now, Vyasa isn't just a sadhaka. We're sadhakas, and he's an incarnation. But he's showing by example, for sake of purification, external things are good. So external things are good for Vyas. That means they're also good for us. And finding a sacred place. Now, is it possible to chant and hear in something other than a sacred place? Of course. When we have the opportunity, we make a place sacred, because when you make a place sacred, then it nourishes, it facilitates, it creates an atmosphere that's conducive for hearing and chanting. So it's good. Find a place in your home, or if you don't have a home like me, then, wherever you are, where there's a path that you follow or a place of consciousness that you reach for that is conducive to hearing and chanting. And from that hearing and chanting, as the verse, Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu, by hearing and serving Bhagavan, by hearing about Bhagavan and hearing the person who gives these messages, both, then the inauspicious thing, the abhadras things, can be removed. The potency is there. So gradually, this is, and I'm just describing sadhana, but we're hearing about Vyasa who's beyond sadhana, but he's still, point is, he's following activities that are for purification. So supposing one is purified, then you don't need to do for purification activities anymore, right? No, you do them. Not mechanically or habitually, but they're auspicious, and it helps even for perfect persons like Vyas, or those who are on the spontaneous platform. If they don't do a particular for purification activity, they're not barred or restricted from higher consciousness. At the same time, they do. It's a nice topic. A nice topic. On the one hand, and on the other hand, there is this description that's in the 11th canto Bhagavatam. Krishna says to Uddhava, those who are on this platform of spontaneous attraction to Krishna, if, due to a rise of some transcendental ecstasy, they neglect a particular vidhi of sadhana, there's no punishment or there's no atonement they need to undergo. There's nothing wrong that they've done. If there isn't some wave of ecstatic emotion, then we do regulative things because they're to be done. And they set an example, just as Vyasa is doing. He doesn't need, but he's doing. We need. But so he's setting an example. The external purification activities to help make the atmosphere of consciousness within ourselves conducive. Two things, just to illustrate this. First of those two things, because I've been spending some time during the Udupi Yatra, following the Udupi Yatra, speaking to the Chinese devotees on Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya's father was an elevated person. In the biography of Madhvacharya, his father had a strong liking for Srimad Bhagavatam, and he was so thrilled when reciting Srimad Bhagavatam that not only there was a big audience to come hear him recite Srimad Bhagavatam, but in this biography of Madhvacharya, it is described that demigods would assemble in the sky and hear his Bhagavatam classes. He was a celebrated person. He had a daughter, and he was eager for a son. He's this elevated personality. So what did he do? According to the biography of Madhvacharya's life, for 12 years, every day, his father went 3.5 hours this way and 3.5 hours back to offer prayers to the celebrated deity in Udupi, because his home was not in Udupi, but some little distance away, to offer prayers to the deity, that he was praying to the deity for the benediction that he would have a qualified son. So he's already qualified. But he's observing a practice, or a commitment, or a vow, or vrata, for purification. And after 12 years, every day doing this, he and his wife decided, now, one more. We'll do Garbhodan Sanskar in a formal way, and let us see what the Supreme Lord does in reciprocation. So, elevated consciousness, still engaging in activities that one might say are ritualistic or cultural, or as Prabhupada is presenting this language. Just like at St. Louis University, I was asked to speak on to the Hindu student, whatever it's called, organization. That's what it's called? Association. Cultural versus spiritual. So cultural isn't neglected, but it's not the essence. Observing this festival, this holiday, that holiday, this puja, that puja, etc., etc. They're to be done. But it stays on the material platform unless the purpose for which they're done is at the front and center. So do them, in part for the purpose that the real purpose is at the front. Not just do them and get elevation to the heavenly planets and the fruits of piety. So cultural things are to be observed, just as Madhvacharya's father observed. Prayers to the deity, etc., etc., etc. And as the qualified son was the result. Another nice example, because this question came up in the course of the discussions about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Before Chaitanya, this is example number 2. Before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born, Jagannath Mishra and Mother Sachi had 8 daughters who, shortly after they were born, they died. 8. And then a son was born, Vishwarup, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became the second son. So someone asked the question, is there a correlation between the 6 sons of Devaki that died shortly after they were born, and the whole story with Kalanemi and Marichi and everything? Is there a backstory for the 8 daughters? So with some help of somebody that's more knowledgeable than me, I found an answer, and the answer is from Professor Sanyal. In his Sri Krishna Chaitanya, he wrote, Life of Lord Chaitanya and his teachings, both. He wrote Yes, just as with Devaki, also with the 8 daughters, the 6 sons, there was a backstory of who they were in their previous life. He doesn't say who the 8 daughters were in their previous life, or he doesn't write about it. What he writes is there was a purpose, and the purpose was to prepare the consciousness of the father and mother to come to the Vasudeva state. Vasudeva state means pure goodness. And so the 8 daughters represent the 8 elements and overcoming the affinity for all 8 elements so that the Vasudeva state could be achieved, so that Sachi and Jagannath Mishra could be in a position to become mother and father of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the parallel that's being presented by Professor Sanyal. But the idea, these 2 examples are meant to illustrate the principle. And the principle is purification, even for one who's already purified. Not that Jagannath Mishra and Mother Sachi, who are eternal associates of the Lord, needed purification, that they were incapable or unqualified. But they observed, and Krishna supported, or the personality of Godhead, the Supreme Lord supported that process of purification because it's good. Even you're purified, become superlatively purified, fit. And then teach by example. So sometimes some of us undergo some tribulation. We always undergo some tribulation. And is there a purpose behind it? Well, it's to agitate your mind. That's the purpose behind it. No, no. It's, as we heard yesterday, to test the ardor of the person, or in these cases, to qualify one for Shuddha Bhakti. So when you're going through some tribulation, it's not natural to think, oh, this is purification. Fantastic. Let me embrace it. Purification. We think something else, usually. And even if you embrace the purification principle, there still may be some feeling or some sensation or something within the mind, maybe also within the senses and the mind, that says, oh, pain, or tapa, austerity. The role of austerity in the life of a devotee is exactly that. To not look for the temporary enjoyment of the mind and senses and based upon circumstance, because it's for devotee, by design, for everyone, it's not like that. Dukkalayama Shashvatam. And for devotees in particular, there's purification. The purification doesn't mean yummy. Purification means purification. So there's some inconvenience, and let me embrace the purification and thus accept the inconvenience or the aggravation or the inconvenience or the turmoil or what, the circumstance that leads to an unpleasant feeling. How do you do that? If you have dhira, if you have faith and conviction in the path to reach the Supreme, and I'm following the path you can check and see, am I following the path properly? Go back to the Bhagavatam text for this morning. Vyasadeva knew, and he's received an instruction from Narada, who he has complete faith in appropriate complete faith. And so he's doing activities of purification in a holy place to facilitate Narada's instruction. Let's take cleanliness, for example. It takes time, and it may be inconvenient, and whatever the plus minus. Cleanliness, please. It's a fundamental principle of preparing our hearts and our minds and our bodies for receiving the Supreme Lord and receiving messages of the Supreme Lord, and in this case with Vyasadeva, the realization that's going to come in, I guess it's tomorrow's class, about what he experienced, because the instruction was what you experience should be the subject matter of your next literary composition, namely Srimad Bhagavatam. So qualified or unqualified, activities of purification, please. And activities of purification are not just for unqualified people. Activities of purification are for all. And once purified, this further purification, the commitment to the principle of purity. Because in that condition of purity, we become receptacles or fit recipients of mercy. We're dependent, not independent. So tomorrow we're going to hear, starting verse 4, what was Vyasa's realization. He did the preliminary, and now we're going to hear a few of the verses of his realization, starting with text 4. And it's in short, it's also how to lead our lives. Sitting down in a trance of meditation, good luck. But the principle is for us. And fortunately, Vyas had the realization, and fortunately, the realization of Vyas was compiled by Vyas. Who knows the realization better than the one who realized it? So it's in the Bhagavatam. And we have the purports of our acharyas to help us understand what was the significance of his realization. So that's preliminary to our discussion tomorrow. See if there's some questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. The last two points that Guru Maharaj mentioned really was very struck with me. The activities for purification is necessary whether we are qualified or unqualified.
Yes.
And then the final statement was, when we are purified, we become receptacle for mercy. But then sometime when the purification happens, we are not, I don't want to say we are, I am not ready to.
Not what?
Ready for the purification. Like knowingly or unknowingly, I block or I'm unaware that purification is happening.
What to do? What's the punchline?
What to do?
Okay. Stay with it. Dhridavrata, or dhira, with confidence that this is going to take me to a good place, and I don't understand it, but that's okay because I'm not there yet. And so I'm not going to back off. I may say, ouch, more than say thank you, but I stay with the process because I have faith in the process. I'm doing because, so that you go back It's, if that doesn't register, go back a step and say, why am I doing this? I'm not clean. I'm not pure. And the purity makes me a fit receptacle, and so becoming pure, it's uncomfortable. Becoming pure, because not that I dislike purity. I'm attached to status quo. And to me, that's who I am, and that's life. And the transition from impure to pure is uncomfortable. So step back. Why am I doing this? What is this really important? And those kinds of directional questions. What's the purpose of life? What's the purpose of my life? What is it that what's my sankalpa? What's my intention with my life? So you go back to this reflective place, mode of goodness place, and you consider, in light of Scripture, as well as your heart, guided by Scripture, and realign your heart to your purpose. And then, the discomfort subsides, because then you can remember and understand what's going on. Purification. So that I can become pure, so that I become a fit receptacle for mercy. Because I'm not independent, I'm dependent.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. So, in follow up of that, so as we progress in our spiritual life, can I say that the things that happens or Krishna arranges is for my purification?
Yes. But your prior point is sometimes I don't remember that. So yes, you can do it. A shorter, quicker. This is for my purification. My experience is it becomes cosmetic or a Band-Aid to say it's for my purification when, my mind is saying for my purification. Don't go to the heart level, not just the mind level, the cosmetic level. But it's not mechanical, devotional. The essence is our relationship with Krishna. And so you check in with your relationship with Krishna. Why am I doing this? What's going on here? And it's not a narrow margin of what Krishna is doing or can do in his dealing with us. But there's there a category or general categories, and it's the essence is those categories. It's relationship. And we checked out of our relationship. We're trying to check back in, and sometimes the mind complains about checking in process. So bear in mind why am I doing this? You revisit your goal and purpose of life, or it's a particular choice that you made by circumstances or within circumstances. It's strengthening, I call it strengthening the bhakti muscle. You follow? Okay.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Krishna Krishna. Anything online? Okay. Anything in the room? Yes. Give this lady the microphone.
So, Maharaj, I was thinking, how would an advanced devotee experience unwanted situations they may come?
How would they experience?
Yeah.
Depends upon their consciousness. Isn't it?
Yes.
Let's take the Pandavas. They're advanced devotees. They had unwanted experiences. How did they take it? In different circumstances, they had different responses. Just here's a for example. It's a detail, but it's just an application of the principle. The Pandavas. Arjuna was with Yudhisthira in the forest. They're in exile. And Arjuna's not in a complaining, why is this happening to us or to me mood, but his Kshatriya mood was there. And so he was visited while in the forest. Trying to remember who he was visited by. Someone. Narada or Lord Shiva or something. And the advice was, in order to be victorious, you're going to need powerful weapons. Oh, it was Indra. Indra visited, because Indra is Arjuna's father. So you're going to need powerful weapons. And I'll make arrangement for you to get powerful weapons, but you're going to have to go to the forest and undergo austerities to make yourself eligible. So it wasn't like, anyway, so he went to the forest and he did this austerity, that austerity, this austerity, that austerity. And while he was doing that austerity, trying to remember the detail. The flow is my memory is very poor. There was a scene where there was an animal, and Arjuna prepared his bow, shot the animal, and simultaneously a hunter shot the arrow. And they both killed the animal. So they both were claiming the animal. And then Arjuna was saying no, and then the hunter said, well, you're going to have to fight me. So they fought for some days or something like that. And then the hunter revealed that I'm actually Lord Shiva. And you've satisfied me, so here's my weapons. What can I do for you? I want your weapons. And he wanted his Pashupat weapon. And Indra had said, when you get the mercy of Lord Shiva, then I'll also give you weapons. A certain powerful weapon. I forget which one. So now Arjun's all, the purpose wasn't exactly get back, but, this is an injustice. And the injustice, as a Kshatriya, I don't want to see my brother in this condition and my other brothers in this condition and Draupadi in this condition. So I want to become free from that condition but he took some action under the instruction of his father, and he got weapons so they could be victorious, and he used them later, even after Krishna tried to make a peaceful settlement. So it's a detail and a detail and detail about how do you process some misfortune. It's going to be different for each of us, and there are different misfortunes. And the principle is abide by virtue, and according to your nature, you do what authority tells you to do to deal with the circumstance of the inconvenience. And sometimes it's just tolerate, and sometimes it's sometimes and sometimes. So we act we're dependent upon the independent Krishna, and Krishna will give us guidance. We just have to have the discerning capacity whether to turn left or right in different circumstances, how to make wise choices. and our natures are different, and our choices are going to be according to our nature naturally. But the principle is that Krishna is to be pleased. Our life of devotion is to get us trained up under guidance, how to keep that principle in the center.
Thank you.
Okay? That's it. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.